Give me a second. This is hard for me to say. Why I left the Satanic Temple. Where to begin? The only logical place is at the beginning. So I'm going to take you back several years to my first encounter with the Satanic Temple. Let me set the stage first. It's 2017, and I'm freshly out as a non-believer. I had participated in a lot of LGBTQ+ activist groups and had garnered a fairly large following, around 13K, under a different pseudonym, Kim Possible, on Facebook. While scrolling through some of these groups and stuff, I managed to stop on none other than the post authored by fairly well-known Satanist from the Satanic Temple, deSatanas, who introduced me to TST's 7 Tenets and Lucian Greaves' work. So at this point, I dived headfirst into every satanic book I could find. I mean, I read everything, and I'm still reading everything. It's like a never-ending cycle of reading. But I think that's kind of the point. Anyways, I was simultaneously attempting to join the Austin chapter of TST, but due to the distance, it was about an hour, 45 minutes or so. It made the meetups hard, so I never actually officially joined. But I was going through some rough times, and the desire for the perspectives of TST members on Satanism and on the 7 Tenets was an insatiable, uncontrollable desire to understand and get more perspective on this, because I had felt so empowered when reading the 7 Tenets, so I was hooked, so to say. My curiosity was piqued by the mystery, the image, and the content being put out, publicly. I had just moved out of the abusive situation I was in at the time and made my way to Houston, Texas, and I had managed to attend my first ever in-person TST event. It was a book club meeting, and I kind of felt unwelcome because I was pretty much quiet the whole time, and nobody really tried to reach out and involve me, and the next 2 book clubs were pretty much the same. But I guess I got noticed enough, and with my volunteering to help with, the setup and stuff with Black Mass, they were impressed with my desire and drive, so they voted me in as a member of TST Houston. I believe it was the same night of the 2019 Black Mass at Brash Brewery. And while the Black Mass was empowering to watch somewhat, I was busy selling shirts and raising money for TST Houston, so I missed a good portion of it, so that kind of sucks. But raising funds for LGBTQ centers and helping to fund animal shelters is why I stayed with TST Houston for a year. I mean, midway through my tenure there, I helped co-found BaphoNet Antisocial network without any prior approval or permission, which, when you're in TST, there's codes of conduct and NDAs and things that you have to look out for legally because of the church status. And I was careful and towed the line, but they noticed that I towed the line, so I would consider it a verbal warning, as I had to go to a meeting with the National Council over it. Anyways, there was some other issues along the way, and it didn't really get better. In fact, some issues then came up between me and some of the leadership of the Houston chapter, and I felt it was a poor handling of the mediation process by TST's HR branch and the leadership there, so I sent a formal letter of resignation and asked that it remain quiet. In the historical nature, though, of the community on TST's Facebook, multiple areas, it did not stay secret. I had rumors the very next day. I was told by many people about how I had been kicked from the chapter rather than resigned. But it is what it is, and that just, it really soured me a bunch. But then I was approached sometime later by a person that I felt would understand and also befriended me. So I just kept supporting TST as an individual because I truly hold the 7 tenets in high regard as a philosophy for living a good and deliberate life. Now, Ada King, the person that approached me, the director of TST's virtual headquarters, affiliate to TST, reached out and asked if I would like to join the team and get away from all the drama, with hopes of having a chance to make a positive impact and change. I accepted wholeheartedly, if not somewhat blindly. I mean, here's a chance for me to put some stuff out there and, you know, talk and make some of the change that I was bitching about and wanting to see done. So I worked with TSTVHQ. They offered to pay me. I refused because I don't like profiting off religion. I worked there for about 5 months. I put in approximately 900 hours of unpaid volunteer work to help provide the Satanic community with a place to feel socially connected, to get educated, and to feel less isolated during this pandemic. And throughout that tenure, to my recollection, I received 0 written warnings about any content that I was posting, and only had positive feedback from the TSTVHQ team that I worked with. Up until 2 days prior to the email of my termination, in which I actually received 0 communication from anybody in TSTVHQ and was left totally blind to what was coming. So all of us had signed non-disclosure agreements and a code of conduct, including the director, Ada King. So much of the reasons behind my termination are still kind of a mystery to me, because in my termination email, which is confidential, no reasons were given. And then in a later email that was not posted as confidential, but I remain it, they said there was multiple violations of my code of conduct, but they did not itemize or tell me what they were. Also, they tried to say I violated my code of conduct after they had already terminated me, which was neat, because they had ignored me for several days after this email, and it took 3 days for me to lose patience and reach out to Lucian Greaves on Twitter and hope for a response, which I received. And shortly after his Twitter received, I got another email telling me that I had broken the code of conduct several times, but no itemized evidence or anything was given to me. So 3 days prior to the termination, we had our regular TSTVHQ meeting, and all seemed normal aside from one of our members leaving because they were too drunk, and they never came back. And after that meeting, when I spoke to Ada privately to check on her to see if she was okay, we had a personal discussion, not on any kind of, it was personal, about my coven that had begun in December, and that we had finally codified an ethos for our little group being 20 to 30 people on a Discord, by the way. And this personal conversation was not covered by the NDA because it was a personal conversation. And I even said somewhat jokingly during the conversation that if the Coven of Satan, the thing I was creating, is an issue with the COC or VHQ, I would resign VHQ as to not cause an issue. So from that day on, I received no further contact from them until they fired me. So I'm led to assume that this is the actual reason Winstonian Instaprizes or TSTVHQ let me go, is that I started a non-competitive, non-activist religious group of Satanists, atheists, Wicca, and other freethinkers. More of a study group than anything at first, but it's becoming more and more of a religious church almost, and hopefully it will. But that's the only thing that I could see, and this was just the final blow for me. TST, an organization in which I felt was built on 7 tenets, not hypocrisy and ego. The 7 tenets will always be held close and dear to my heart. It is the very spirit of the 7 tenets that are making me choose to do this so publicly and to renounce my membership. Until I perceive the structure of TST and the elected and non-elected leaders show that they too hold the 7 tenets dear to their hearts and minds, I'm going to separate myself from the organization and its affiliates. There's no other recourse. The recourses I've tried didn't work. Now, Satanists and TST, the community, all of you great folks that I've met along the way, if you're hearing this and wonder if I hate you and I'm going to push you away and all that, you're misinterpreting this. This is my decision to leave TST and not to leave Satanism and not the satanic community. Satanists can hang out and be friends without being in the same organization or being part of any organization whatsoever. I love so many of you and would like nothing more to continue our friendships. However, if you are afraid to remain friends with me because I dissent or I speak out, and if you're afraid to speak your mind and speak out in fear of reprisal from the church or its leaders, you're in a cult. And I don't think TST needs to be like a cult. I don't need to have those cult cliques. I just don't think they need it. And as long as those things still exist, I can't be part of that organization, no matter what good they may be doing. Because TST promotes benevolence and reason with compassion. They promote nobility in action and thought. Often the feelings of the few in charge make this message sour before it even has a chance to be effective. TST's International Council, chapter leadership structures, the NDAs, the defamation lawsuits against its own members, whether they be wrong or right. The schism after schism have shown a definitive history of abuse or at best mismanagement. Where's the learning process? Why are these things repeating over and over? I get it. People are fallible. If we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy in accordance with reason. Are these just hollow, empty words, only designed for legal cases? Is that what it was? I chose to believe these are part of a beautiful and inspiring set of guidelines that, when truly aspired to with dedication, can achieve a greatness in self. I'm obviously very hurt. I feel used and moreover betrayed by someone, something that acted like a true friend and then suddenly stopped. Some of my personal feelings coming through in this today are because of a non-related issue that happened on the same day that I received my email that coldly stated my termination from the Satanic Temple. Shortly after that email, I got a call from a much more compassionate person informing me of my removal from the Threat Awareness Initiative as well. And it just sent me spiraling after what I had just dealt with earlier that day. There, of course, will be a few different sides to this, but I implore you all ye reasoning and critical thinking Satanists abroad, do not blindly listen to rumor or conjecture. Do your own research. Reach out to folks that you hear rumors about and confront them directly like adults. Don't ask the person that asked the person that heard it from the person. Do your own research. Reach out to the folks that you hear rumors about them and confront them like adults. Creating rumor and spreading it is so basic and should be remedied quickly by factual information and supporting evidence. I am no longer a member of the Satanic Temple. I won't say more due to NDAs that I've signed, and I honor NDAs because I don't believe in defamation. It's useless and not helpful. But if you ask me for more information, I'm not going to be the person to get inside information from. It will get you a no comment. I do not need a lawsuit, and I do not need any further drama. Enough is enough, and enough has been said. I am moving on with my life and down my own left-hand path with a continued voice against tyranny, injustice, and oppression. Oppresso Liber, non SERVIAM.